In our third segment on solving basic equations, which is this one's on page 11, you will we're going to look and see that these equations are not as simple as the last ones where there were only two terms or two numbers that we needed to undo. Here we may have to simplify one or both sides of the equation. And to do a simplification on one of the sides or the other, we're going to first combine like terms. Second, we'll come in and use the distributive property to remove the parentheses. And third, we'll clear the fractions by multiplying both sides of the equation by the lowest common multiple. So for the numbers 2, 3, and 4, the lowest common multiple is the smallest number that they all three will divide into. 4 won't work, 3 won't go into 4, 8 won't work, 3 won't go into 8, but 12 will. So in this case, the lowest common multiple would be 12. Of course, we're going to clear decimals by multiplying both sides of the equation by a power of 10. So if we need to move our decimal point one place, we'll multiply by 10. We want to move it 2 places, we'll multiply by 100. 3 places, we'll multiply through by 1,000. So example 1. When we look at this, we see the left side, it has several terms in it, 3 terms. So we'll want to simplify this. And to do that, we're going to combine terms. So we'll do the 11m and the minus 6m, and we'll put these two together. So 11 minus 6 is 5m. Then we have the minus 8 is equal to 22. So we simplified the left side. Then we'll start undoing it like we did on the last one with the reverse PEMDAS. And so the first thing we want to do is remove the 8 by doing its inverse, which is plus 8. And we'll be left with 5m is equal to 30. Then for our next step, in order to remove the 5, we'll divide, since it was multiplied, opposite, divide by 5. And when we do that, we'll be left with m is equal to 6. Example B, the right side needs to be simplified on this one. So we'll distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So 3 times 2x is 6x, and then 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. Then once we do that, we'll start undoing. So we'll need to, in this case, add 18 to both sides. And we'll end up with 28 is equal to 6x. Then we will need to divide both sides by 6 to undo that multiplication by 6. And that would leave us with x is equal to 28/6, which doesn't divide evenly, but it can be reduced. So if we have a fraction, we will always leave our answers as fractions, not decimals. So do not give me a decimal answer. I want a fraction, and I want it in simplest form. So we can reduce that by, it looks like 2. So we divide both of these by 2 here, and we'll end up with 14 thirds for our answer. Example C, this time we have our fractions. So we have 2 of them, 5 and 4. Lowest common multiple, so the smallest number that both of them will go into is 20. So I am going to multiply by 20 on both sides. When I multiply by 20 on the left side, I'm going to distribute. So I will have 20 times 2b over 5. I'll kind of group that so you can see that. Plus 20 times 3b over 4. And then 3 times 20 is 60. When I'm multiplying, it's going to be over, remember that's over 1. And I want to simplify. So probably, this may be the easiest thing to do, cancel. 5 will go into 20 4 times. So I end up with 4 times 2b is 8b over 1, so it's going to simplify to 8b. And then 4 will go into 20 5 times. 5 times 3b is going to be 15b. And again, it's over 1, so I can write it as a whole number instead of over 1, is equal to 60. So I remove my fractions this way, and we're left with these, aren't we? So I can now simplify one more step because I have an 8b plus a 15b. So I'll need to add those together. They're like terms. And I will get 23b is equal to 60. And I'll need to end by dividing by the 23 to undo it. And so my answer B is going to be equal to 60 over 23. 23 is prime, so unless it goes into 60, this won't reduce, and it doesn't. Example D has got decimals, and it just has one decimal in each of these numbers. So to start off and simplify and get rid of the decimals and make this a little easier problem, I'm going to multiply through by 10. I just need to move each of these over one place. So I'm going to multiply by 10 on the left side and 10 on the right side. So when I distribute 10 times 1.3, that's going to be 13. It's going to move that decimal point over 1. Same thing when I multiply times 0.5 by 10, it's going to move it over one place. It's going to leave me with 5x. And then 10 times negative 3.7, I'll move it over, that decimal over one place. And so I'll have a negative 37. To finish up, I want to undo to isolate the x. So I'm going to subtract 13 from both sides. That will leave me with 5x is equal to negative 50. Then divide both sides by 5. And I will then have x is equal to negative 10. So one more thing, it's still going here. I want to remind you now to go and work those few problems that were assigned on our Google Classroom and submit that form. Let me know how it goes.